Hi, it's Lucy here, and today I have this one sheet of 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to end up creating 6 cards with it. This one comes from Uniquely Creative's Moody Blues collection. I think that came out about mid last year, and I've had this sheet of paper that I just absolutely love for ages, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that sort of thinks, oh, I'll be able to create a lot with that, and then you just don't get around to it. So I'm going through all the different papers that I have left from this kit. I have created quite a few with this already, and I do have some masculine cards, a YouTube video. So maybe I'll pop that link up there as well if you'd like to have a look at it. Excuse all the birds. So I'm just choosing which ones go best with it, and then that way it just shortens my supply so that it makes it a lot easier to make all the cards that I need to. And I have some creative cuts there as well to add to the cards. So if you've watched my videos before, you'll know I'm not much into measuring. So what I've done is I've just cut a larger piece of the paper that I know is going to fit on the card, and that way then I can just chop off any excess once I've put it on there. So I'm trying to figure out with that piece of paper what I'll do with it, and then also with this one, and I want to find the perfect size so that there's a bit of a white border, because when there's florals like this with white background, it looks really pretty to have a white border. So I'm just trying to figure out all my die cutting for the time being, and so here I'm just putting it through my die cutting machine. It's a XOX one, and you can probably hear that. I leave the sound so you can hear how loud it is. And anyway, so I really like this polka dot background for both of these sheets. So magically, I'm going to die cut that again, and that way I can use it on both of these. I'm using the full cover, even though you're only going to see the top part of this paper on the card, because sometimes when they've got a lot of extra sheets and layers, they tend to feel really professional, and they feel really sturdy and nice at the end. So I'm just adding some layers for this one. I figured that this might look quite nice. I didn't actually have a clear plan. You probably saw my draft earlier that I forgot to mention, where I just scribbled down some designs, and then I'm not sticking to it necessarily, but it does work for this set of cards. But it's just to give me an idea, and then from there I just play around to find what works. And a lot of you have said that you like me leaving in the process. So with some of these, I show you where I try a few different things before actually coming to the end result. And yeah, I'm happy with each and every card at the end, which is really what you want to do. So that looks really nice, I think, with those layers as well. So I'm just going through to find a sentiment that will work for this card. And I do play around a little bit, but I come up with this little sentiment with the scalloped circle. And I think they look really nice together, and especially with the butterfly as well. But I feel like it needs a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is just cut a slither of this polka dot paper again, and pop it along the bottom of the card like that. And then I was going to pop it on some white cardstock, and then I had my ribbon sitting nearby, and I just thought to use some of that. Looks quite nice. I do like to use ribbon occasionally, but I don't do it very often. So I've just added that on with the double-sided tape, and now I'm still trying to decide what to put in that corner. So just playing around until I've got what I like. So I'm just going to add those circles together with the glue, and I'll add the butterfly, which I have fussy cut around, I think, and I'm just going to layer up the sentiment on the top with a couple of semicircle of my scrap paper, just so that it sits nicely. It's quite thick and cardboard anyway, but it just tends to like sit nicer if you have different sized elements underneath it. So now I'm just using some white Nuvo drops, and then this card is finished. Super quick and easy, and it's actually ended up fairly similar to one that I've just done on the last video. But they do look completely different, even though it's a very similar design in the end. So now on to the next card, and if you remember, this is still a larger piece, so it's wider than my card front. So I'm just roughly adding a white border to it, and then I'm also going to just add an extra sheet of scrap paper underneath just to give it a little bit more height. These papers are beautiful, they're quite thick anyway, but sometimes it just gives it a really nice look if you have a lot of layers on there. So then I can just cut around the outside with my knife, and there's no measuring needed. So I love that technique. You may waste a little bit more paper, but then I find that you don't use every last bit of a 12 by 12 paper anyway. So these I've made in the past with my laminator and some blue foil. So I'm just going through and seeing what suits, and yeah, I didn't find the perfect one, but I was really happy with just keeping the plain font here. It's actually Century Gothic font. So I'm just adding a little bit of scrap paper under there because I want a gap between the sentiment and the floral paper. And so this way I just thought that it added a little bit more interest. And then I'm going to add a little flower bunch to the side of the card, and then this one is done too. These are really easy, but they look really beautiful. I was really happy with how they all came out. So I hope you'll keep watching to see all 6 designs, and I hope this really gives you some good ideas. With my printer, it gave me a little blue dot, so I decided to just add a couple of Nuvo drops there. So I was trying to figure out, with this piece of paper, it had leaves going both ways. So in the end, I decided to turn it over and use that as a background, and then I'll die cut this smaller rectangle to go over the top of it. And while I'm doing that, I'll have a look at this next piece as well, so I can die cut it at the same time. And I want it to take over most of the top part of the card, but not the bottom. So I'll it doesn't matter that it's not going to die cut the whole thing, because I'll be cutting it at the bottom anyway to make it even. And then this one, I'm just having another look, and I'll die cut another rectangular die. And then I'm going to die cut a border as well for one of the other cards. So I'm just adding some ribbon to this card, and so I'll pop some more double-sided tape down so that I can stick it down, being careful that it's not too tight but not too loose either. And then that way I'm just going to add a couple of pieces of scrap paper again, so that it's the same height, it's all even all around from where that ribbon was. So I've cut out 2 little slits for where the ribbon's going to sit as well. So I'm going to add this to the card, and first I need to take off that bottom white piece that I didn't notice, and then I think that really dark contrast of the navy to the white looks really nice. So bordering cards is always really quite pretty. I do have a look, but I liked the freshness of the white with this. And those butterflies, that butterfly there is a vellum creative cut, which is adhesive. So you just peel a little part off, and then it all comes off, and you can stick it straight down onto any page. Now again, I'm just going to, instead of using foam tape, I'm using some scrap paper that I just had sitting on the side of my desk to create just a little bit more height. And then I'm going to use some Nuvo drops to create a little butterfly trail. I always think this looks so cute. I've just made it very, very tiny little dots, not big ones, seeing as it's a very tiny little butterfly. I'll have close-ups at the end as well of all these cards, so you'll get to see them better once they're all finished, and all the different ones. So I've just covered the card with that Harlequin paper, I think that is what you call it. And then I've stuck down that navy piece as well. So this will be the background to the floral sheet. And I'm just going to, because on one side it has the extra layer with the navy, I'm just going to do an extra layer of scrap underneath this paper so that it's even. I feel like it's really important that if your papers are evenly spread onto the page, it looks so much nicer. So I've added one of those vellum cuts again. I end up taking it off though, because it just doesn't work on this card, and so they come off nice and easy, which is really good. And I've used I've put some on some white paper here and then die cut the circle out, but I just can't get it to where I really like it. I haven't got the right items on the right card for the type of style and design that I want to go for. So I'm changing it completely. I'm just going to take this off, and it doesn't harm the paper in any way. Nothing came off. You just be really careful, and then that way that doesn't tear, and also the paper doesn't get ripped at the same time. So I'm trying a different thing, and I'm having a look to see, and I decided to fussy cut out one of these butterflies, and then that way I can add to that. The butterflies are really beautiful, and you get a whole 12 by 12 with this card pack. Well, actually it's a 12 by 12. It's scrapbooking collection as well as card making. And they do still have some available, I think, on the website. So I will put a link to the description below if you really like this kit. It is gorgeous, and as I mentioned, I did do some mail cards using this kit, and not much else in the way of supplies as well. So yeah, you can use it for masculine cards too, I guess, because of all the blues. It suits both male and female cards. So, and then this card is done, just creating that banner instead. And now I'm just going to have a look at my next draft, and again I'm just adding a piece of scrap paper behind so that it's even and it sits up nicely then as well. So this circle was from the last card that I tried to put it with, and also the scalloped circle, but I didn't like it on this one either, so I'm just playing around, and I like this flower bunch much better. And although this sentiment is a black, it actually goes quite nicely. So the navy blue there is almost a black, so it suits. And that was finished so super quick as well. So with this one, I was having a look at the gold sheet, but yeah, I just decided I'm going to stick with the monochromatic theme here, and I really like it on with this blue paper. Now I'm not cutting it, we're using my ruler there as well to show that you can actually do that, but occasionally I have accidentally slipped and cut some of my cards, so most of the time I will use the ruler, but you don't have to. The card gives you that border to easily cut around it anyway. So I've just fussy cut out another flower, another butterfly, and I'm going to give this little banner a border as well, especially because it's a white on white background. I find that it doesn't stand out quite as much otherwise, so I will just have that nice navy border to it and then pop it on the card. I've used double-sided tape and glue just to make sure that it stays there. And I've rounded the wings of the butterfly, and then I've just added the body with glue. So here's all 6 cards. Thank you if you've stayed around for this long to see all of the cards, and I hope it's given you some ideas because these are really easy, quick designs. I made these in an afternoon, so it's not yeah, and with one sheet of paper that was really pretty. So I think that's the ingredients that you need, is just a beautiful sheet of paper that you really like, and then some complementing cardstock or papers to go with it. But mostly, as you can see, I've used just that paper. So it's amazing how many cards you can get out of one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. So I hope you really enjoyed this. There's some photos with close-ups coming up now. And if you did like it, I would love it if you loved this video. I love reading comments. They really warm my heart. And subscribing. Thank you to all my subscribers. I'm trying to get some more videos going on a regular basis now, and so I really appreciate everyone's support. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've got lots of good ideas out of it. You don't need these particular papers, but I will leave the link down below. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.